Hi, it's Todd at Todd's Workshop and Todd Cutler here, and we're going to have a look at arrow types again today. I recently did a video on 6 different kinds, but now we're going to have a look at how they penetrate and how you remove them. So, my lovely assistant here today is a lump of pork leg, and I have 3 different arrows. So we have a regular bodkin arrow, armour piercing, bodkin, plate cutter, call it what you will, short bodkin. So we have that. We have a fairly sort of standard barbed type head here. And again, we'll have a look at how to remove those. And then we have the very mysterious crescent shaped head. This one here, which is often called a rope cutter. We'll come to that as well. So if we start with our lovely lump of pork leg here, and if we start with something like a bodkin arrow, so this is going to go in, well, it's gone straight through to the plate below, and you can pull it out. Clearly, that's going to hurt. But the point here is that if that is sticking into your leg, you are going to be able to pull it out, you are going to be able to run, hobble off, you are going to be able to fight whatever is needed from you. So if it doesn't hit something vital, it is not immediately disabling, but also it's an arrow that you can get out and you can carry on if you must. So that comes out. With a barbed head, whether it's for hunting or for war, I'd call this a fairly regular kind of a war head, that will go in. Now, you can't pull that out without making a mess. I'll show you again there. So it goes in, and then you can see how it's pulling the meat apart. You're not going to be able to pull that out of your body without an enormous amount of pain. And whether you can inflict that on yourself is really depends what kind of person you are. So let's just say that that goes in. And around 1303, 1304, a Belgian surgeon called Jan Ypermans wrote about this technique where you take 2 quills, which are of course hollow, and you probe within the wound until you find, there we are, the barbs. And then you can pull the arrow shaft out, and do you see now how the quills are on the barbs, and that stops them binding in the wound and it allows you to pull them out. Now the last of the arrowheads we're going to talk about today is this one, which is a crescent shaped head. Now, in the recent video I did, I wasn't sure what this was used for. I'm still not absolutely sure. But I said, I haven't seen it used for birding. Of course, you fabulous people out there then sent me pictures of, medieval pictures of these heads being used for birds. Great. I also picked up another book that I haven't previously had about arrowheads. And in that one, it lists them as being for game, because the idea is that they go in, but not that deep. It is got some resistance, far more resistance than either the barbed head or the bodkin head. But it does go in, but then it doesn't go in that deep, so it's not that retained. And then because of the forward-facing barbs, it comes out very, very easily. So even if I go, so that's, let's see, not far in, and that's how far in it went, and the resistance to withdraw it was very slight. So the idea is that this falls out of the wound, then rather than the arrowhead plugging the wound, which a small bodkin arrow would do, that whole cut now is just open, and that allows for a massive amount of bleeding from the beast. So at least this theory is birds, yes, and I get that it doesn't damage the insides of the birds too much. Perhaps it doesn't damage skins and things if you're doing that kind of hunting. But what it also does is when it does go in and create a wound, then that wound is left open to bleed very heavily. Now, another slight aspect that might be true, I mentioned again in my last film that they do not skid under the grass like an arrow like that one would do, for instance. That they lie on top of the surface. So again, if you're hunting small game like rabbits, which are down on the ground, then you're much less likely to lose your arrows because they will strike and then they'll flip and land on the top like a modern judo point. Perhaps that's also what they were used for. But I'm not sure that the mystery is entirely solved, but I think we now know that they're good for birds, they're good for hunting causing big wounds, big bleeding wounds, but then they fall out, and that they are good for hunting rabbits. I think those three things I think we can now establish as true. Many people have said, oh, well, they're for cutting the tendons on legs and things like that. I just doubt that. And the simple thing is, if we say that my finger is a tendon, this arrow is coming, well, an arrow spins. And so, yeah, great. If you happen to get that amazing shot from 30 yards away and get the tendon on the deer's leg, you're a good shot. Yeah, okay, it's possible. But into that calculation, you have to add the fact that this arrow is spinning. So if it doesn't land exactly the way you want it to, it doesn't do what it is that you're intending anyway. And so just simply shooting the arrow, I don't know, 90% of the time it's not going to fall how you want it to, even if you do the shot that you want. So I suspect not for tendons. To conclude, I've had a closer look at these three arrow types here. So we have a bodkin head. Well, that goes into a wound and out of a wound very straightforwardly. I will be coming back to armour-piercing bodkins at a later date with a film that will be fabulous. We have the barbed arrowhead here, and I've shown you how to remove those with the technique from Jan Ypermans, using 2 goose quill feathers. And then we have last the crescent head here, which I think we can now establish is a hunting head of some form. There are 3 viable uses, all are hunting uses. Which one of those? All of those are true. We don't know. Rope cutter? I don't think so. Tendon cutter? I don't think so. But please, write in, let me know. That's what makes this channel fabulous, is the interaction of you and me. I love it. I absolutely love it. So thank you very much. 3 medieval arrow types and a little bit more detail about them.